Hey there, this is Paul with Alair Homes. Joined here today by Collin Bruce from Dominion Lending Center's Mortgage Mentors. How you doing, Collin?
Hey, good you?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. Thanks for doing this.
No, I appreciate it. I haven't had a haircut in like 3 months, so whatever. I know. Just let
Yeah,
it
we're
grow.
all sort of in the same boat. Yeah, letting my beard grow out and everything. We don't really know what to do. So until I get
Nice.
the bowl out and start trimming my own hair,
Yeah, I know. I had the razor a couple of days ago, and my wife's Janelle. She's looking at me, just questioning, but it
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
cut off the hair or anything. So
Well, it's good. Yeah, so this is kind of weird times, unprecedented times, as everyone's sort of in the same boat. What I really want to talk to you today, obviously you've been in the mortgage game for a long, long time. You got your own brokerage there. You're seeing a lot of things coming in still, which is positive. And I guess that's sort of the focus that I wanted to touch on, sort of the positives out of this. There's a lot of negative messaging, a lot of fear, maybe some misconceptions, but on the mortgage front, what are you seeing as sort of maybe some of the benefits out of this for maybe new time buyers or renewals or that kind of thing?
well, interest rates have definitely dropped. The funny thing is, though, so there's the variable rates, right? And then there's the fixed rates. So the variable and adjustable rates are based on the Bank of Canada's overnight lending rate, and the government's dropped that by like 1.75% over the last month. And so the bank's prime rate has dropped from 3.95 to 2.45, which is really low. So
Yeah,
if you were on a variable rate before at a prime -1, right? You're at a 1.45% interest rate today, which is great. Over that same period, though, as the government's decreased the overnight lending rate, the banks have reduced the discount off of prime. So, like the best variable rates we're seeing today is prime minus zero point 0.2. So even though you'd be at 2.25, which is a great rate, it's not a very good variable rate right now because there's just no discount. And we know as soon as COVID passes, they're going to raise prime again. How quickly they do it, I mean, that's the question, but it will go back up.
for sure.
But what we've seen then is the fixed rates have dropped. We have as low as 2.29% on a 5-year fixed rate,
Wow.
which is pretty ridiculous. Like anything below 3% for a 5-year fixed is so low. So I mean, that's one of the benefits of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's good for people to know. So when was the last time people have seen or you've seen rates this low?
This was, so I may be off on the year. I believe it was 2016 or the last time OPEC flooded the market.
Okay.
Remember when OPEC flooded the oil market and
Yeah.
prices were similar to what they are now?
Yeah.
That was the last time we saw rates, and they were that low for about 3 weeks, and then they started
Yeah.
climbing back up. And even with the fixed rates, last year, like January, February of 2019, our best 5-year fixed rate was 3.49 to 3.69, right? Like that was a normal, and that's still a
Yeah,
decent rate, but to
for sure.
be in the low twos, it's pretty low.
Yeah, it's pretty unheard of, which is great for people looking to get to renew or get into a fixed rate for the next little bit. So obviously, like you said, when this is sort of all over, you expect rates to go up a little bit,
Mhm.
and that's understandable for sure. So for people looking to maybe plan for the future, things like that, maybe things like HELOCs or purchase plus improvements. So we see that in our business, obviously renovating and building. People looking for good rates. Are there good options right now for that kind of thing?
Yes, there are. And even like if you're looking to buy later on this summer, right? It's a good time to get pre-approved now because the rate gets held for the 4 months, and in that time, if rates drop, they get the lower rate. But if they go up, you keep that rate. And what we found throughout this all is the banks haven't tightened up any of the lending practices. Um, Rates have come down. The lending's still the same. So I mean, granted, it has tightened up over the last couple of years. The government was planning on reducing the stress test, which is
Right.
what you have to qualify for to make, like when somebody applies for a mortgage. That was supposed to take effect a couple of weeks ago or beginning of April, but they paused that.
Okay.
So the old stress test rules still apply, but I think that's just because, I mean, they dropped the overnight lending rate by so much that they're probably worried about inflation and really speeding up that Toronto and Vancouver housing market, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I guess, some things are there to protect sort of everyone in that, where, it's good to have a little bit of a bit of a threshold that people have to
Yeah.
meet. So obviously there's people are worried right now about their current mortgage. Say they're halfway through, maybe they have lost their jobs. There's been lots of talk and lots of programs implemented for people to have their mortgage deferred for a while. Can you speak a little bit to that as far as which lenders are doing it? Is it all lenders, and what does that sort of look like?
Yeah, we're getting a ton of calls from existing clients too. All the lenders are offering deferred mortgage payments. I mean, the wait time, from what I'm hearing, like lender specific, is like 6 hours, 7 hours, or via email like a week, or even up to 9 days for response time. We were on a conference call with Scotia, and they had said they were receiving over 20,000 phone calls a day to defer mortgage payments. So, I mean, but if you've lost your job and it's right now, you have a choice of, hey, I've either got to buy groceries or I got to make my mortgage payment, defer the payment. I mean, It's not ideal because you do have to pay that payment back, right? Anything you defer, that interest you do owe. But I mean, if it gets you through the next, 3 months or 6 months until everybody gets back working, then it's what you have to do. It doesn't affect your credit negatively, so people don't have to be worried about that.
Yeah, that's good. That's some good news for sure, because I think that's the important thing to note too, is that this is not, taking away 6 months of your payments. It's pushing it down the road a little bit, but there's still, as the talks of, from the government about maybe this pushing back into the fall, that can put a lot of, a bit of discontent, a little bit of uneasiness with a lot of people about, okay, well, how am I going to pay my mortgage for the next 3-4 months?
Totally.
Maybe I'm on a totally reduced salary. Maybe I've been put out of a job altogether for the time being. So yeah, really important stuff for people to understand, that there are options available, but only use them if you really need to.
Well, and all the lenders, like some lenders, what they're doing is they're taking the deferred interest. So let's say you skip 3 payments and the interest, whatever amount, they'll divide that interest equally through however many more payments you have remaining in your term. Other lenders will just extend out your existing term by the 3 months or 4 months. So it is all lender specific, and it also depends how much time you have left in your term and that sort of thing. But I mean, for people that are wanting to defer their mortgage payments, I mean, you'll have to wait on hold or send that email and just know that they are working through it. We've had a couple lenders that have come back and said, if the mortgage payment goes NSF in the account, right? Because let's say you don't have enough money in the account and the mortgage payment doesn't go through, that doesn't affect your credit, and the mortgage companies, or some of them, will even reimburse any of the NSF fees to you. So,
oh wow.
I mean, yeah, the lenders get it. Like, this is unprecedented times. Like, nobody wants to do this, right? You don't want to, most people don't want to defer the mortgage payments, I'm assuming, and the bank, but it is what it is. So
yeah, sometimes you gotta do it in order just to get through the next little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. There's a lot of fear, a lot of unknown out there, but there also is, we're all, the old adage is we're all in this together for sure, right? Everyone's got to work together. The banks are trying to work with us. The federal government's trying to work with us. I'm sure there's a whole ton of more information about that you could give about renewals, pre-approvals, that kind of thing, options. What is the best way to sort of get a hold of you and figure out what that looks like?
Oh, yeah, you can either call me. I'm going into the office. I'm solo here, but the numbers on my website. It's collinbruce.ca. 2 L's in my name, and
2 L's in Collin.
2 L's in Collin, and my email is right on there too. It's just Collin@collinbruce.ca. So, but even if if somebody has a mortgage with another institution, and even if they're not wanting to use us, but if they just have questions, like, just call me or email me, and I'll try, direct them in the right way. So.
Awesome. And you can find you at CB Mortgage Team on Instagram and Twitter as well for any information. I appreciate you doing this. There's a lot of fear out there, and it's good to have a little bit of good news. And so if you want to find more about Collin, go to collinbruce.ca, 2 L's in Collin, as we hear on the radio. Awesome. And more information about us, alairhomes.ca/Edmonton. Thanks again for doing this, Collin.
Hey, no problem. Thanks, Paul.
Cool. Take care.